The Outsiders Conflict and Plot Elements Quiz. Question 1. Identify the conflict. To save Pony from being drowned, Johnny stabs Bob. Is this man versus man? Man versus nature? Man versus self? Or man versus society? Question 2. Identify the conflict. We had reached the top of Jay Mountain, and Daly suddenly slammed on the brakes and stared. "Oh, glory," he whispered. The church was on fire. Is this man versus man? Man versus nature? Man versus self? Or man versus society? Question number 3. Identify the conflict. Most people stereotype all greasers as hoods or criminals. Is this man versus self? Man versus society? Man versus man? Or man versus nature? Question number 4. Identify the conflict. We're poorer than the Socs and the middle class. I reckon we're wilder too. Not like the Socs who jump greasers and wreck houses and throw beer blasts for kicks. Is this man versus man? Man versus society? Man versus self? Or man versus nature? Question number 5. Identify the conflict. Daly points a gun at the store cashier and robs him. Is this man versus man? Man versus society? Man versus self? Or man versus nature? Question number 6. Identify the conflict. I'm scared stiff. I used to talk about killing myself. I don't want to die now. It ain't long enough. 16 years ain't long enough. Is this man versus man? Man versus society? Man versus self? Or man versus nature? Question number 7. Identify the conflict. Listen, I don't mind dying now. It's worth it. It's worth saving those kids. Is that man versus man? Man versus society? Man versus self? Or man versus nature? Question 8. Identify the conflict. Johnny is seriously injured by a falling beam after rushing into the fiery church. Is this man versus man? Man versus society? Man versus self? Or man versus nature? Question number 9. Which text shows man versus self? The dingo's a pretty rough hangout. There's always a fight going on, and there once a girl got shot. Daly started talking, loud enough for the 2 girls to hear. He started out bad and got worse. No, Johnny, not my hair. It was my pride. Our hair labeled us greasers, too. It was our trademark. Question 10. Which scene is an example of man versus nature? Derry hugs Pony. The church is on fire and there are kids trapped inside. Pony Boy is jumped by the Socs. The rumble. Question 11. Pony Boy, if I see you in a hall at school or someplace and I don't say hi, well, it's not personal or anything, but I know, I said. We couldn't let our parents see us with y'all. You're a nice boy and everything. Why is this an example of man versus society? Cherry's afraid of Pony Boy and thinks he might hurt her, so she tells him excuses at why she might not say hi to him. Cherry struggles to take in the fact she hung out around greasers and even likes Dallas Winston, so she tries to avoid him. Cherry likes Pony Boy, but she knows she can't socialize with him at school because he is a greaser and it's socially unacceptable. Question 12. Listen to me, Pony. You didn't do anything. It was your friend Johnny that had the knife. I had it, I stopped him. He was looking at me strangely. I had the knife. I killed Bob. Is this an example of man versus self? True. Pony Boy struggles to deal with his guilt over Johnny's death. False. Pony Boy's just rambling nonsense because he's still injured. Question number 13. Identify all of the events below that are part of the exposition in The Outsiders. Pony Boy's jumped by the Socs while walking home from the movies. The greasers and the Socs rumble. The greasers meet Cherry Valance and her friend Marcia at the movies. The Socs hunt down Johnny and Ponyboy for being with their girls. Johnny was jumped by the Socs when he was 16. Question 14. Identify the part of the plot that the event below represents. When Johnny dies at the hospital, is that the inciting incident, the climax, resolution, rising action, or falling action? 15. Identify the part of the plot that the event below represents. Johnny is seriously injured and burned in the church fire. Is it the inciting incident, the exposition, the resolution, rising action, or falling action? Question number 16. Identify the part of the plot that the event below represents. The boys are acquitted in the murder. Inciting incident, climax, resolution, rising action, or falling action? Question number 17. Identify the part of the plot that the event below represents. Daly goes to visit Johnny and Ponyboy at the church. Is that the inciting incident? Is that the climax? Is that the resolution, rising action, or falling action? Question 18, and this goes with our conflict chart I gave you the other day. Daly is against the world's injustice at taking away the only thing he loves. This is an example of what type of conflict? Internal or external? Question 19. Derry opposes a former high school friend named Paul. This is an example of what type of conflict? Internal or external? Question 20. Ponyboy has headache, concussion, and fever. This is an example of what type of conflict? Internal or external? 21, our last question. Daly opposes his desire to keep Johnny from getting tough. This is an example of what type of conflict? Internal or external? If you have any questions, please get a hold of me during class. Have a great day.